In 1938, as the world balanced on the edge of war, a young Englishman named Nicholas Winton was preparing for a ski vacation. He was not a soldier nor a politician, just a 29-year-old stockbroker from London. But sometimes fate has plans for the unlikeliest of heroes. On the night before his holiday, a friend of his who was in Prague at the time sent him a compelling message. It read, "Cancel your vacation and come help me." Refugees from Nazi-occupied lands were flooding into Prague, desperate, homeless, and most tragically, helpless children. These families consisted predominantly of Jews, as well as political descendants and other marked by the Nazi regime. They all knew the danger their children faced, they just didn't know how to save them. Nicholas Winton could have said no. After all, he was just a stockbroker with no obligations. What difference could he possibly make? But something stirred within him, a quiet whisper of moral duty. Without any persuasion, he cancelled his planned trip and made his way to Prague. When Winton arrived, he was confronted with a sea of frightened faces, innocent children with wide, tear-filled eyes. They had no future here, but their options were slim to none. The British government had already begun accepting some adult refugees, but not children. Nicholas saw this as his mission. He had to get these children to safety. Setting up a makeshift office in a hotel, he began working day and night, speaking to anyone who would listen. He sent letters, pleaded with governments, and convinced families in the UK to foster the children. But paperwork moved slowly, and time was running out. As Nazi oppression tightened, every delay could mean more death. Then, with extraordinary determination, Winton began organizing what would become known as the Kindertransport. He forged official documents, arranged trains, and personally escorted children to safety. His desk was covered in passports, photographs, lists of names. Each child had a life hanging in the balance. On March 14th, 1939, the first train carrying 20 children left Prague bound for England. The joy of their rescue was bittersweet, as many of these children would never see their parents again. But Winton pressed on, knowing that this was the best outcome for them. Over the next few months, train after train carried hundreds of children away from the shadow of the Holocaust. The last train, planned for September 1st, 1939, was set to carry 250 children. But on that very day, Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The borders closed, and sadly, those children were never heard from again. In total, Nicholas Winton saved 669 children. Yet for nearly 50 years, his story remained untold. After the war, he returned to his quiet life, never mentioning his heroic deeds. It wasn't until 1988, when his wife found a dusty scrapbook in their attic, that the world discovered what he had done. This scrapbook contained the names, photos, and documents of the children that he saved. Years later, in a moment of pure emotion, Winton was invited to a television show. He sat in the audience, unaware of what was about to happen. As the host told his story, she asked anyone who owed their life to Nicholas Winton to stand up. And one by one, people rose from their seats. Many were the children that he had saved, now adults with families of their own. In that moment, the quiet man who had never sought fame realized the full impact of his actions. His moral courage had not just saved 669 lives, it had shaped generations. Nicholas Winton's story teaches us that we don't have to be powerful, famous, or experienced to make a difference. Sometimes the most ordinary among us have the capacity to perform the most extraordinary acts of kindness. In times of darkness, one person's decision to act, to stand up, and to care can change the course of history. and in the end, that's what makes a hero.